What's up, people? I am back for another video. Today we are talking about. Oh, also before anything, Merry Christmas, y'all. We are a couple of days removed from a day removed from Christmas or till Christmas. So, figure why not do a Christmas movie? So my plan is tonight. I'm doing this video right now. I was technically supposed to do it yesterday, but I got tired early, so I just decided I'll just do it earlier. So tonight, my main video is gonna be I'm gonna list, I think it's 20, my 20 favorite Christmas movies of all time. Christmas horror, action, obviously all of it, all the genres. So I'll be trying to do that tonight because if not, I will do it tomorrow. But I do want to do it tonight just because tomorrow Nosferatu comes out, and I do plan on seeing it. I do want to see it. So so if I do see it tomorrow, then I can focus on that tomorrow being like the main video. So that's probably what I'm gonna do. Um, and yeah. But anyways, let's get into Beat Two. This is one I remember. We watched a movie. I think they're YouTubers who I watch. I remember them talking about this movie, and I never watched it. I never went and watched it at the time because I've not just them. I've seen other people talk about this movie too, and that it's like an underrated Christmas gem. And it came out back in 2007. Wes Bentley's in it. The premise is this young businesswoman who goes to a Christmas party is trapped in a garage by a psychopathic security guard who's obsessed with her. The premise is it's hard. I mean, it starts off normal. She's at a Christmas party. No, not a Christmas party. She's working late on Christmas Eve, and she wants to get home so she can go to a party, but then she gets locked in the the second parking level. That's why it's called P2. And then this is where she meets Thomas, who's the security guard. Who initially, when you first see him, he's normal. Like, he's helping her, trying to leave. And then, because he tries to ask her out on a date, she turns him down, like, nicely, obviously. And she calls for a taxi. She is locked in. And it's like simple, right? Like, she's locked in, taxi leaves, and then that's when Thomas kidnaps her and basically forces him on a date. And he actually dresses her up. He plays her really creepy, man. Like, this is where that turn really happens, and and apparently he's been watching her for a while now, and yeah, man, it switches. So he forces her, to call her family to make sure, like nothing's going wrong. And then I actually like that it's eerie too. He has a dog, which I will spoil. There is a scene, if you're like queasy about like obviously animals dying, there is a scene where a dog does die. I mean, I don't like seeing dogs die, but in the same time, if you're in the position where and I'll just spoil it, there's a scene later where he has the dog try to chase her. She gets in a car, and I think the window's already broken. I think it's the car she broke out of earlier. So he gets in it, but the dog gets through the window because it's broken and bites her, and then she has a tire iron, and she ends up stabbing him with it, which the only thing I question is like, how is she that strong to stab it? Because I'm like, tire irons aren't that sharp. That's the only thing I'm kind of questioning, but whatever. I guess maybe they thought it would be less violent if she just stabbed it versus, if they were gonna do that, I would. If I'm just gonna be too anal about this, should have just grabbed like a glass shard, because it is a little bit like, how the fuck did she do that? Like, I get, if this was like Halloween, I could buy Michael Myers stabbing you with a tire iron. He has the force strong enough to do that. With a girl like her, I guess maybe they thought it would have been too violent if she bashed it with the tire iron. Whatever. Either way, there is a dog death scene. But it's like, if you're in her position, you do understand. It is sad to watch, though. But there is a point she does get out, and then almost like, not Saw, a little bit of Saw, a little bit this part, because she has co-worker tied up, and he basically because Jimmy, I'm trying to think if the movie makes it seem like he makes this up, but he infers that the guy who's tied up is Jim is a killer, and he kills him and he rams him. I will say this movie is very violent. There's not like a giant body count, like he kills another security guard. He kills Jim by running him over multiple times, and after the last time, like his guts are all falling out. Like, yeah, man, I'm like, god damn, this is pretty gory. And Angela, when she escapes, and and then when Tom, like, not Tom, when Thomas, I guess Tom could work, is on the intercom, it gives me Saw vibes a little bit. Like, this is his house and he has to try to escape. And the part where he starts singing is pretty creepy. Like, I'm gonna say it, man, Wes Bentley does a really good job in this movie. Like, he really, because he plays off like normal at the start, and then it just deteriorates. And the scene when he's just singing Elvis's Blue Christmas is pretty trippy. Because one, it's not just that it's bad, it's just like so creepy. And this is where she finds a fire axe, and starts destroying the cameras. And I'm gonna say it, man, Angela is a really good example of a good final girl. She's just this normal businesswoman going home, wanting to go home for a Christmas party. She's not like this trained assassin. That's one of the reasons I like final girls, because they usually just start off as normal girls or normal women. In this case, she's a woman. She's an adult. But, you know, I like it because she's a normal businesswoman who just wants to go to a Christmas party, but she's forced in this situation. Now she has to try to escape. You know, and yeah, now she has to, like, kind of learn to fight and have to try to survive, even having to kill the dog, and obviously killing Thomas by, like, basically lighting him on fire. Well, I think he's, like, handcuffed to the car. And then basically he sets, she pours an oil tank and sets him on fire. Like, this movie is violent. Like, they do not hold back on the violence. Not a giant body count, but it doesn't need to be. Like, there really doesn't need to be. It's not that kind of horror film where you got a killer just going around killing a bunch of people. This is a survival story where it's one-on-one. Yeah, there's some bodies here and there, but it's largely just her and him. And I think that's what makes it work for me. So overall, I would give this film honestly, probably 9 out of 10. I really fucking liked it. It was eerie. It was short and sweet. Whoever played Angela, I don't recognize her. Rachel Nichols. I'm trying to see what else. Let me see what else she's in. Oh, she's in the GI. Okay, I do recognize her. So she's in some stuff I've seen. Like, she was in the Star Trek, the 2011 Conan movie. And she's in Dumb and Dumber. Okay, so she is in some stuff. Okay. I think she just looked different because she's, like, kind of blondish here. But yeah, overall, this is a great film. I definitely really recommend, especially if you're a horror film fan. And yeah, it's a good Christmas movie, Christmas horror movie. It's an underrated one because a lot of people don't talk about it, but because I feel like unless you're really into horror, this one does kind of go under the radar. But yeah, man, I really do like it. So, but other than that, tonight, like I said, top 20 Christmas movies. I can't wait to talk about that. That's gonna be fun to talk about. I like doing positive videos like this. And then I'm gonna see Nosferatu, and then I'm thinking at the end of the week, this week, we will do my favorite movies of 2024. So I'll try to do that maybe on Saturday or Sunday this week on the weekend, because I just wanted to wait till I saw Nosferatu, because that's like the last, because I have a feeling that's going to be my number one, so I wanted to see that first before anything. So yeah, but yeah, this weekend should be the list either way, because if I don't see it at least tomorrow, I'll try to see it Friday, but I do want to see it tomorrow though. So anyways, guys, let's get into it. apparently one of the of course, Rotten Tomatoes describes it as full of gore, but low on suspense. What the fuck? There's a lot of suspense in this movie. I really do think there are moments like the scene where he's chasing her, like, and she's about to get on the elevator. Solid scene. Or the scene with the dog's chasing her. I won't say it's like Die Hard, but I guess in a way it is. The only difference, she has to try to escape, but there is like a little bit of that element. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a little bit of inspiration from Die Hard in this movie. There's a little bit. Obviously not straightforward, because that's an action movie. This is straight up horror, or psychological horror, but definitely a horror film. And the score's okay. Like, movies like this, I don't need like a crazy score. I don't think every horror movie needs an amazing score. I do think a great score does help, but I don't inherently think every horror needs a... Sorry, tablet's dying. But yeah, every horror doesn't need like a good score, especially one like this. I think a slasher for sure, but this isn't like I mean, I don't look at this as a slasher for sure. So, but anyway, it's subscribe to Pin Down Podcast. We will be back soon. We'll be back on the first Saturday in 2024. So look out for that. But subscribe and look at our back catalog if you want to. So this movie starts. We're introduced to Angela. She's this businesswoman. You know, she just wants to go home for Christmas. One thing I like too, there's not a lot of side characters. Like, you know how in a lot of horrors, even if it's not a slasher, there's usually a core group of characters, like a family, something like that. No, it's just Angela. Like, she's by herself, mainly. Like, because there are people there, but they largely are just there to die. Like, you do have, like, another security guard, I think, who's there, and you do see cops who come later, but there's no, like, friend characters for her. She's by herself, because she's just trying to go to a Christmas party. She just worked one night really late. And she tries to get into her car. Car won't start. This is where she called a taxi, and this is where she meets Thomas. You know, he's just a little weird, but other than that, like, initially he's just socially awkward. That's what he comes off as, but he's not, like, you don't sense any, like, this guy's dangerous, and I think they really do a good job at that. That's why I think they got a good actor with Wes Bentley, because there's some actors who would have been like, okay, you would still see him. No offense, but there's some people, like, at least in the character within the world, where it's like, okay, you see that guy, you just think there's already something up with him. This guy, he's just socially awkward when you first meet him. You know, he's just, I've met people like that are just a bit weird, but you don't think, like, oh, they're going to be violent. So, you know, she has to use a phone so she can call the taxi, and she does. He tries to, like, ask her out, and she turns him down, because she wants to go hang out with her family. So she gets a taxi. The taxi ends up coming, but because she's locked in, which, obviously it's revealed to be Wesley locking her in, the taxi leaves, and then this is where she goes in the darkness. I think she's trying to find like probably somebody or something to try to get out, and then that's when Wesley gets her. I actually like where the film really starts. I forgot I mentioned this. It starts initially with one of the scenes later where she gets out of the trunk, and she's handcuffed, and you're like, oh shit. Okay, so I like starting movies when movies start like that, where you get something later on, but then we get like, okay, a bit earlier. Shows do this too, so I like that. It's like, oh, something's crazy is about to happen. Like, how did she get in this trunk? Why is she handcuffed? So she wakes up, and obviously we find out he's recording her. There's a shot, the scene where he's dressing her up, because he dresses her up, like he puts her like this nice dress, and there's a part where he puts makeup on her. It's pretty fucking creepy. Well, he doesn't show her, but she sees it. Like, there's a scene later where she comes into his office is where after she finds the axe, and he sees that video of her. So he was recording himself putting, like, dude is crazy, man. And I think he really does a nice flip. He tries to force her on a date with him. He tells her he loves her, and apparently he's watched her for a long fucking time, and he threatens her and basically tells her to call her family, basically make it seem like everything's fine, and she can't escape because he has his dog right there with him, and this is where he takes her to another level, and this is where he has a guy named Jim tied up, and he believes Jim's a terrible person because he supposedly groped Angela at a party. Oh, apparently it happened, but he was just drunk, and he even said, hey, don't kill him, because she could tell he's about to kill him. And she even tries to, he apologized, and then beats Jim up for a bit, and then he rams him in the car multiple times, and then after the last time, you see his guts spill out, man. Like, this movie does not hold back on the gore, but it's not like gore for the sake of gore either, though. And there are times I'm fine with that, but in this movie, I'm happy they didn't go that route. So Angela manages to escape, and Thomas hides the evidence of the murder. She finds a safe place to hide, and she tries to get her key back, or her phone and her key cards and all that. And Thomas, this is where we get him chasing her into the elevator, which I thought that was a good scene. She tries to call for help, and then the cops come. He floods he basically dumps another body. So Carl, who I think you see him earlier, so there's only a couple characters really with her. She's basically by herself. And I think that kind of acting is interesting too, when there's no real characters to bounce off of, when you have to carry the story yourself. So I thought Rachel Nichols does do a good job, because if they could have really fucked it up, and if they got a bad actress, because this is going to be the actress we're going to be following majority of the movie. And it's not like, at least if you have a bad actress or a bad actor or a bad lead, you can at least have, sometimes it's a situation where there's at least other characters who can carry the movie. There's none in this. It's just her. So I think they did a good job getting a good lead. So at least if you're just going to follow just her, at least you want to like her, right? You know? So I love the scenes when Thomas does, like, he torments her by, like, using his voice on the intercom, and there's a part where he starts singing. This is where she finds an emergency those emergency things, and she finds a fire axe and starts destroying video cameras, so she can kind of, like, so she doesn't know where she's at, you know? And I do like how smart she is. She does make a little bit of mistakes here and there, though, because there's nothing wrong with that. You gotta, theoretically, for these type of movies to happen, you do gotta have them sometimes make mistakes, but I do like that she is competent. She's not, like, retarded. Like, I do like that there are scenes when she's just running. She's not, like, tripping over herself and shit. They don't do those kind of tropes in this. So he ends up, two officers arrive, and then this is where she sees the video, because she's now in Jim's office, and destroys the camera or the TV when she sees him dress her, and is actually groping her, and everything, like, basically everything he said Jim was, that is actually what he did. And then he comes from behind, chloroforms her, he doesn't chloroform her, he tases her, and then he basically tells the cops everything is fine. And then this is where Angela wakes up and she manages to break out, but she tries to get to the cops, but it's too late. They had already left. And then this is where we get the part with Rocky, where that's what the dog's name is. And this is a good scene, though, where she's running and he's like, oh, is this dog going to get her? She gets into a car, but the window's broken, because one of the windows is broken. Dog gets in, ends up biting her leg, and she stabs it with a tire iron. And now he ends up finding the body and wants revenge for killing, his dog. But it's like, you killed your dog. You used your dog to try to attack somebody, and then what you think was gonna happen? She's just gonna let this dog fucking kill her? Like, here's the thing. I don't like seeing dogs get killed in movies either, but this is one of the cases where it is self-defense, in this case. So, and Thomas grabs her. I'm just going to kind of jump to the end. Thomas grabs her and tries to get her. They're in, like, fighting, and she manages to take takes his keys, and then she cuffs him to the car, and, he kind of talks shit to her, and then he tries to plead with her because he basically pours, gasoline, and he basically, because he tries to plead, like, oh, let me out, I'll be friends with you, and then she's like, no, and then he starts shit talking her, because there's a scene, I forgot I mentioned, there's a scene where a car flips, and obviously there's gasoline from it, and then she uses a lighter, and, wishes him a Merry Christmas, obviously sarcastically, and then kills him by lighting him on fire. And then basically Angela, just all covered in blood, is just going outside, in the cold while the police arrive. So, pretty simple little movie, man. I definitely recommend it. It's a nice little horror movie. Very, very simple plot. Which, I'm gonna be honest, man. There's nothing wrong with having a simple plot sometimes. Not everything needs a complicated plot. This is a very simple plot. Like, guy is obsessed with her, and he traps her in, and then she has to try to get out. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Wes Bentley as Thomas does a really good job. Not any of the other characters aren't really name actors, because mostly it's just him and her, really. And his death's pretty violent too, though. He goes out like pretty crazy. And I'm gonna say it, I consider Angela I don't know if I want to call her final girl though, because it's hard, because final girl implies that she's the final girl, and theoretically in a sense she is, but it's hard to call her that because it wasn't like Thomas was just going around killing her friends. He killed like 2 people, really. His fellow security guard and then Jim. That's it. It's mainly him and her, really. He doesn't kill those cops. The cops leave. For the rest of the... and then the dog, but that's it. Like, that's his dog, not her dog. So, yeah, there's not a... I'll still call her final girl, even because I think technicality-wise she is one. I thought she was great. She was believable. I love how smart she was, but they made her make mistakes a little bit, and she's not like she's just instantly smart and knows like how to get out. She gets fucked up, she doesn't leave unscathed. And yeah, this is a good one. That's all I can really say. I figured this video wasn't going to be uber long, but yeah, it's a nice, good little horror Christmas movie to watch right before Christmas. An underrated Christmas horror that kind of just goes under the radar, So, I'm also going to watch It's a Wonderful Life tonight at some point. So, if I don't do it tonight, I'll do it tomorrow, but I do want to do it. I think I am going to do it tonight. And then I'll try to talk about it tonight. If not tonight, then I'll talk about it tomorrow, like right before I get into the video. But other than that, guys, 9 out of 10 movie. That's really all I can say. But, top 20 Christmas list later on tonight. That's gonna be fun. It's no. You probably can already tell what my number one's gonna be. So that's gonna be that's not gonna be surprising what my number one's gonna be. But I have some nice. I thought I put a nice list together. So we'll be doing that. Then, guys, I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.